Hi guys, today we're going to talk about something I filmed actually probably not this Christmas just past, but the Christmas before. I kind of wanted to do a diorama and start something and then add to it over sort of the month of Christmas, and I didn't get out, I didn't manage to get the time to do it then. So I thought we would just do it now and I'll upload it. So this will be part one and we will kind of sketch it. I'm just kind of taking you through a few preliminary kind of sketches and ideas that I had done for it. So it's going to be super easy to do. I am breaking it down step by step, and I just kind of am showing you here like some different sort of color studies, and I was just trying out sort of, you can see like on the floor I really enjoyed doing the diamond kind of flooring and allowing the paint to sort of work on there, like kind of like a marbled floor. So anyway, let's get into the actual tutorial. So here you can pull inspiration photos off, Pinterest or off the internet as well. So I'm just I've looked at photos, I'm kind of making up my own type of thing here. So first of all, we just draw some straight lines, and this will be for the flooring and the, architraves around the sort of the floorboards around the bottom of the wall. And then we are going to do the diamonds. So you can see on the one that I had sort of done a little colour study, the diamonds are all crooked. So I'm trying to do a bit more precisely on here. And so, you can take your time to rule that out and kind of measure that all up. So, but I just kind of used the ruler and did it that way. So here we're going to create the chandelier from the top there. So I'm kind of looking at this one and showing you that I want to do a shorter one and wider so that we can fit in. I was going to do a frame behind it, but I think I just end up doing some more French paneling, or I'm not sure. I end up doing either a frame or French paneling, but I wanted the chandelier to be shorter and wider. So we start here, and a lot of the techniques here are just involving half circles. So half circles and straight lines, and the different ways you can put those together. Different line weights, different sizes for the half circles to create, different shapes, and you can see that there. And so then here we are just going out fairly long and straight with a curve up again, some half circles, and then putting the little dishes on for the top of the chandeliers there. And then we'll come back in and do some more of so you go a little bit lower and then a little bit more of a stronger curve, and then we'll do the same thing again. And so these are kind of the arms of the chandelier looking like towards you, so the ones going forward. And then we go back and sort of put some behind there to sort of signify the ones at the back of the chandelier. And so now I'm just putting some candles on, so it's a very simple rectangular shape. And you can see, like, when you break this down, they're really simple shapes, and then you create them and they form a more complex visual sort of situation. So if you're trying to draw anything, you want to try and break it down into simple shapes. And so you can see here it's another, again, arched line, and I'm just doing the top of where the sort of crystals hang down to the arms of the chandelier. And so again, you can see I'm doing some curved shapes hanging down that signify the, the chandelier droplets going down through the arms. And then we're doing some of those diamonds that hang down from the chandelier little arm parts. And that's pretty much the chandelier. So we can colour that with some silver paint at the end or something like that, but for now that's the chandelier, and then we move on to the French panelling. Okay, that's not the end of the chandelier, we're just doing some more of those little kind of diamond shaped crystals hanging from the crystal chain there. Okay, so that's what we've got so far, and I missed a bit of footage here, but this is just basically, you'll see how I've broken it up, and there's going to be 2 panels on each side and then a middle frame. So I have just sort of by eye measured that and then just done 2 little parallel lines with the ruler. So now we are going to create like the first French paneling, and you can see here again it's just a matter of straight lines and some half circles or some sort of arced lines. And so I've started with the bottom, and then I'm going to do a similar thing at the top, which is, I think you can see it better than me kind of explaining it. A straight line, a little arc, and then some larger sort of arcs or semi, they're not really semicircles, but they're more of an arch sort of shape. Okay, so here we are going to start down the bottom, and actually my recording thing is right over, it's kind of got a black box over what I'm doing, so you're probably going to have to watch me more than me talk you through it, but it's the same kind of thing. Since we've kind of worked on drawing some of those arced shapes, we're going to then produce a series of those in some smaller ones and then some larger variations, and create one of those French panels pretty much from that shape. So we can all draw, it's more like a quarter circle, I guess. So and then you just do some on each side, some on the top and bottom, and then just continue doing a few more, and then you can see kind of a finial at the top there with some little swirls. So it's pretty simple to create, but it looks really sophisticated and complex. And so I feel like after I did that first one, I might have erased that and then gotten an actual photo and looked at it and kind of tried to replicate that a little bit off Pinterest. So you can see, I think it's helpful to see you can do it either ways. There's so many ways to draw these, or the ways that they sculpted them. So I'm kind of giving you 2 different ways here. One is a simpler version and it still looks really beautiful and complex, and then this is a little bit just using a little bit more swirls and some arc shapes kind of going different directions and things like that. So I will just let you watch this. Okay, so that is the finished kind of bottom, and now I'm looking at the centerpiece, and my idea for the initial diorama was to put like do this as kind of a backdrop, and then in a different video do some cushions, like some couches and cushions, and have it more like a set, so where you kind of build it up and up. And there are a couple of artists who do things like this. I'll see if I can link them below. I can't remember one name, Scalapini. Oh, I can't remember, but I will look those up and link them below. One is Paper Fashion from New York, and she now lives in New Mexico, but she does some really nice diorama type art as well. So I thought it would be, fun to just do this backdrop and then kind of add furniture and things on top of this. So cut them out of actually a separate sheet of watercolor paper and kind of add them on. So today, instead of, to kind of try and break up the learning process and not try and fit everything into one really complex painting, we're just going to work on a backdrop, which is pretty simple. So it's more two-dimensional, and then we will add things onto this. And you can see here as well that I am taking my time. I have erased it a couple of times because I didn't like the way the shape kind of ended up. But again, I'm doing those sort of arc shapes, and some smaller, some larger, and just creating a seemingly complex pattern out of these pretty basic shapes. So we're going back and tackling the top of the side panel now. And one thing that's important, like when you're doing a drawing, if you're frustrated with one part or you don't know how to finish it, just, take your time, go to a different part of the drawing, and then come back and try that part again. So I hadn't really been sure how I was going to tackle the top of these when I started. And so I'm just going back now, and I'm kind of creating one of those stone cartouche type of at the top of like the French doors, and they have those really beautiful stone carvings. So I am just working on that, and it's more like an oval shape, like a horizontal oval with some of, again, the arch shapes around it to create, it's more like, I wouldn't say petals, more like curves, but kind of wavy. I'll see if I can maybe insert a photo or link one below, or I'll show you something in the second installment of the project. And so you can see I'm just adding little easy details, but again it adds to the complexity of the finished page or piece. And what I was thinking was that maybe the plaster sort of part on the left would, because quite often they like to do asymmetrical things. So I was thinking maybe the one on the left I wouldn't put the top part in, but I think I do go back and do that. So in part 2 you might see that slightly different. I have it somewhere in my boxes and I haven't pulled it out yet, but I want to get this off my phone because I've got no space to do any videos for you. So I'm hoping that I can put part 1 up and then find that this week, and maybe do part 2 where we paint it next week. But at least you'll have this and you can have a go at painting it yourself, before I get the part 2 out as well. The other thing I wanted to say is have a look at the way I'm holding the pencil. So if you are having a hard time sketching and maybe it's hurting you, or you're having a hard time holding it and sketching lightly enough, it could be the way that you're holding the pencil. And sometimes I know that that can be quite painful over long periods of time. So and I also hold you can see that I also hold the pencil almost halfway up the pencil, so that I am not, so that I can get more of a sketch-like line, more faint line. I don't want a lot of control over the pencil, and I don't want it doing a very dark line that's going to be hard to erase or hard to change on the page. So that's just one tip. And if you are having a hard time, you can get a pencil grip. I think just Walmart has them, or you can get them online, and that will just make the whole experience so much easier. I know at first it'll be a little bit difficult to figure out how to hold it, but after that it will be so much easier for you. So that's our finished piece. That's our part 1 for today, and of course you can go on and paint it yourselves, but I will be back in part 2 of this to paint it. And here's our little dove. And that is about it for this video, guys. I will see you with another pretty exciting one shortly. Bye.